So 2.4 has been really in the works for, I would say the first conversation we had that actually created some of this was the GSD / mini conference we did last, was it like June or July, somewhere in that time frame. And we started some of that conversation around product and this notion of product and maybe it could be stronger in Path to Agility. And so some of the work that some of y'all on the y'all contributed to this. Then there were some more conversations that happened in the GSD / mini conference in the fall. And we added some other things. So all of this came out of a lot of y'all's input and feedback. And so we're excited to release this. So let me zoom in and kind of hit some of the highlights and a little bit of the background on this. So what 2.4 is there's some new Agile outcomes, new capabilities, some things that have been deprecated. So the red are things that have been removed or moved, and yellow is that there's something that's changed, and the green is something that is new. And the biggest changes are these two new Agile outcomes: products defined, that's a line system level, and product value management, that is at the learn system level. So these are two new Agile outcomes. Now, when we created the first 1.0 version of outcomes and capabilities, we were purposeful in not using the term product because seven years ago, a lot of our IT enterprises were very confused by that term. Product meant we sell insurance products, right? Like they couldn't think of their software as products or their delivery or the value that they delivered as products. But we've come a long way, right? There's a lot of more momentum around like project to product, and we realize that there's a gap in terms of the strength of having that kind of product focus, that value management, and having a lot more than just, hey, we have teams aligned to value. What does that mean when we're executing? And we find a lot of our clients, and I'm sure your organizations as well, are clamoring for, all right, we need to build a product organization, a product management function. This is new. How do we do that? How do we assess that? And there was really no way within Path to Agility to be able to assess, are we building that capability to manage our products, to manage the value chain in not just from an we had the execution level, but not from a scope and value and prioritization, and that we felt like there wasn't enough emphasis at the system level, right? We had product ownership as a capability at the team level, but there wasn't something at that system level. And there may be a future need for something at more of a portfolio or organizational level, and we'll talk about where that may go forward. So walking through a couple of the things here, that I'm gonna focus on the system level first, because this is where the big shifts are. So we just had teams aligned to value in 2.3.1 in previous versions. That has now been renamed to value alignment, and a little bit of tweaking to some of the terms there. So we also find that in the market, value stream is a very confusing thing. Are we talking about development value stream, operational value stream, what value stream, and we've got the lean definition, we got a safe definition, so we've moved a little bit away from the value stream word and using more like value delivery system, so that we're trying to avoid being in the confusion. So you see a couple tweaks around that. So instead of value streams identified, value delivery systems identified. Instead of teams aligned to value streams, teams aligned to value. And so this Agile outcome is now more around, are we aligned to delivering value? And then the products defined, having capabilities of product vision and scope, customer and market clarity, ownership of the product defined. That's more the scope side, or the understanding our customer, understanding our stakeholder, understanding what it is that we're trying to deliver. And value alignment is are we aligning around how we are going to deliver, right? So if that makes sense, we've separated those two things. So added a lot more strength there around what would have just been in clear value proposition is basically gotten expanded into this products defined, and a lot more definition around what it is that the value proposition is. As we move forward into learn, we had cross-team coordination and ability to measure as our two Agile outcomes. Ability to measure, while it's gone away, it's not really gone away. It's just been kind of lower down a level. So ability to measure is now a capability as opposed to an Agile outcome. And so some of you have probably heard me talk about before that you can sometimes think about an Agile outcome and an Agile capability like an epic and a story relationship, right? And a story is just a decomposition of an epic, right? Like it's a bigger story. And so sometimes as we've been building Path to Agility over the years, we'll have that debate. Is this really more of a capability, like more detailed level, or is it more of an Agile outcome? And so we had that debate over the last couple of months around that for ability to measure. One motivation was we knew we were adding product value management. And once we get to 3 Agile outcomes in like I don't know what you'd call a quadrant in a 3x5 grid, but whatever that is in that cell, 3 is a lot to manage, right? And so there's something we're also protecting against, like not just bloating it up where we all of a sudden have it's unwieldy. And again, what we've moved to is 2 Agile outcomes: value delivery coordinated and product value management. So again, the separation of value delivery coordinated is really about the execution of the system, and product value management is about the management of, are we building the right thing, right? Are we understanding the value that we're delivering? Are we measuring success of the product? So we've separated those two things out. We felt like ability to measure is a capability of coordinating the value delivery, right? So instead of cross-team coordination, and you see also cross-team coordination was the wording of this Agile outcome. Cross-team coordination is now the wording of, so really cross-team coordination, ability to measure, we're moved down to be capabilities. And then we've kind of grown the scope of the Agile outcome to that. There was also work and discussion that happened in the GSD in the fall around the system, the learning of the system and education at the system level. And you'll see some of those things show up in the system ownership capability within that. So those are the 2 biggest and the meat of the changes that we did. There's a couple other tweaks that happened at the org level around one thing that we wanted to add out of the fall conversation, fall GSD, was communication plan and making sure that is part of our rollout strategy. And key stakeholder engagement, while that capability has gone away, having stakeholders engaged shows up in other capabilities. So we felt like it was already covered. It was just kind of duplicative. So while stakeholder engagement has gone away as a capability, it still shows up as acceptance criteria in a couple places. Again, we didn't want to have 7 capabilities, right? Like it just starts to get a little unwieldy. So we had that conversation of like, could we let one of these go? And then we added on team empowerment, the awareness of the leadership shift as a new capability there. We also did some wording change a couple different wording changes just from a tense perspective, like so like I think it was reduced cycle time before, now it's cycle time reduced. Just like we had some mixed tenses across, so we just tried to make that a little more consistent. But you'll also see quite a bit of other tweaks to wording, tweaks to descriptions, tweaks to acceptance criteria, a lot of details in there. As you can see, most of the changes were in the align and learn around the product capabilities.